Monster Hunter is an adventure fantasy film that just came out on pay-per-view with Mila Jovovich, Tony Jaa. It's very simple. Artemis goes by accident into the other world, which is populated by monsters, and she needs to survive. The plot is that simple. Mila Jovovich and Paul W.S. Anderson have worked together on Resident Evil, but this is their best collaboration yet. I think you're gonna love this, because I did. Let's check what this is all about. Monster Hunter, it's an amazing adaptation of a video game with the same name about... It's actually very simple. You have a military incursion into an alien world, outer dimension, cool place where monsters exist. They're vicious, they're deadly, and then a lot of death happens. The main character, played by Mila Jovovich, has to make it out and survive with the help of a professional monster hunter that has been living in that world and fighting these monsters his entire life. The monsters are amazing, and I don't say this often. The budget of this movie is big, but it pays off. The CGI is great. There's details that showcase monster personality, so each one of the different monsters are actually very different to each other. There's a lot of detail in the facial expressions, in the eyes, in the gestures, in the way the monsters move, how they interact with the environment, how they interact with the characters, and effects-wise, this film is almost flawless. Monster Hunter's plot is extremely thin, and that's a good thing. It doesn't try to explain complicated or not so complicated things, and it just goes with it. The basic premise is there's two main characters, played by Mila Jovovich and Tony Jaa, and they need to survive. Why? It's not important. Their goal, at the end of the day, is to defeat the monster. And then the next monster, and then the next monster, and they have to work together, use awesome weapons made out of parts of previously defeated monsters to craft something better. I'm gonna give you a side note about the video game. Even though I have a great video game collection, I haven't checked out Monster Hunter yet, and I think you should. Created by Capcom, there is 5 versions of the game. The most recent one came out on PlayStation 4. The premise is simple. Hunters go around a world where there's different monsters of difficulties varying from very hard to pretty much impossible. And that's why it's a multiplayer game. And monsters can be either captured or hunted and killed, and their bodies can be looted for parts to craft new armor or weapons. Every hunter has a slinger that allows them to either shoot projectiles at monsters or traverse the land using a hook. The video game sounds pretty good, so I should check it out. And I wonder if you have played it, is it close to the movie? Because I think the elements I just described are in the film. Anyway, back to the review. You know, for a film that doesn't have much of a plot and the characters don't have much of a backstory, it's still incredibly fun to watch. And mostly it's because the actors that are playing the characters are obviously having a ton of fun. I'm speaking specifically about Mila Jovovich, who brings back a sense of humor and whimsy that I haven't seen since The Fifth Element. She's just great. Not only can she kick ass, but she's also very funny and charismatic. And Tony Jaa, he steals the movie. I have seen this guy from his beginning in martial arts, and I believe that what was holding him back was not being able to fluently speak in English. Well, guess what? This movie has him speaking a completely different language altogether, and it plays to his strength. The film is shot very well. There are some shots that, pull back and allow you to see the scale of the environments and the scale and size of the monsters, making the characters look this tiny on the screen. I love that. I don't think enough movies give space to take in all of the environments and all of the beautiful spectacle that is about to unfold in front of you. Not that I'm spoiling too many things. Ron Perlman is in it. In fact, it basically starts with him you know, being very cool, very Ron Perlman. And I thought, whoa, they had a cameo for like 30 seconds, and we're not gonna see this character ever again. And then was I wrong? And this guy shows back in, you know, glorious Ron Perlmanis with a very weird but I think anime looking hairstyle, and he has this giant sword hammer thing that shoots lasers and force fields. It's actually accurate to the game. I checked a couple of clips, and wow, the weapons are original and cool. They're montages of, getting ready, collecting different things to defeat a monster. I don't want to spoil things. And then you can see how these weapons are not only crafted from, a jawbone or the tail of a monster, but they also have powers to them that are actually very useful and make sense in this different world. And then, whoa, they try to bring our modern weaponry, miniguns and bazookas and machine guns to fight these monsters, and it proves almost useless. So the main character has to reinvent herself to figure out how to use this rather simpler ways of fighting these monsters to actually be able to defeat them. And the amazing monsters are smart, they have a personality, they're not one dimensional, even though, they don't have any dialogue or backstory, but the monsters have something that makes them unique, something that makes them stand out, a power sometimes that, it's very cool to look at, but also that makes sense to that particular world. And they're a very good antagonist to put pressure on the main characters to try to survive in this, crazy environment. So Monster Hunter really is pretty much all about hunting the monsters and don't care about anything else. And it's not a bad thing. So how there's trailers that have this epic soundtrack that you are like, man, I wish this was in the film, but I know it's just in the soundtrack. Guess what? Monster Hunter has that epic sound, the soundtrack that is like, yeah, this should be in an epic battle or in a very tense moment in a video game. Yeah, the entire soundtrack is like that. And wow, I love it. Monster Hunter is an unusual film because it's actually a fantastic adaptation of a video game. It develops the world, shows a little bit of the mechanics of the game, uses some of the weapons that are available in the game, showcases amazing monsters, and the CGI is off the hook. The characters and the actors playing them are having a lot of fun, and that fun is conveyed to the viewer. Altogether, Monster Hunter is my favorite adaptation of a video game onto screen. If you played Monster Hunter, what do you think? Does the movie give it justice? Is it a faithful adaptation of the Monster Hunter world? And most importantly, what would you like to see in a sequel? Because I guarantee you, there is gonna be one. I'm Jin from Get Me More, and you know where to find me. Thanks for watching.